Well, let's quickly flip this back to Lagos now. Chamberlain.
Well, we've got Mr. Gbenga Obawaya, who is the chairman on Ondo State Agricultural Commodities Association, joining us via Zoom. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, you've been in the thick of things as all of these are playing out, but having seen how the meeting went yesterday in consideration of what has been happening before that meeting, what are your thoughts? You think this, finally, you're getting some solutions, as it were?
Well, we received the news, the outcome of the program with some level of gratitude, because at least we have moved a few inches forward, because I can only say it's a few inches forward. What we are concerned about primarily is that we should be allowed to do our business in peace. We should be able to go to our farms not afraid that we are going to be raped, we are going to be kidnapped, or we are going to be maimed. We should be able to sleep, having projected, having put our farm schedules in place, that by so and so time, we are supposed to be doing this farm operation, and for it to work as it has been scheduled. But presently, for most farmers, for most agropreneurs in Ondo State, that is not the situation. And there was a little ray of hope when Mr. Governor, the governor of Ondo State, made a pronouncement that all cattle, all herders should leave the government reserve. In fact, what many farmers and many people interpreted that to be immediately was that they have been given a quick notice, because the truth is that we are under siege. For whatever reason, the onslaught is this much, we would not know. But we are concerned about this thing coming to an end. We have said it time and again. We have held so many meetings.
Okay, why do you say that this are just a few inches? Because the dailies are reflecting it's a huge milestone.
Well, maybe from their own point of view, because even when the meeting was going on yesterday, I received so many phone calls. People were apprehensive that the order was going to be rescinded, because people are just clinging on to that where it's at least somewhere to start, because the forest reserves have been seen as no man's land, so to say, by many illegal occupants. And if people are flushed out of the place, it is an average farmer, an average family will not allow somebody that will do him harm to come and settle on his private land and property. So in other words, it's an indirect way of saying, look for your own land that you own and establish a ranch, establish a farm where you can do what other people are doing. We have places designated as places that pigs are to be raised in Ondo State, because I am a personal example of that. I had a pig farm somewhere that was removed from the city, but in a few years' time, urbanization caught up with the place. So I had to shut down that arm of my business because it was an inconvenience to other people. And I had to do something in the interim until I could put that same business in place in a properly designated place where it will not be of any harm to some other person. So we are saying what will solve this problem is that anybody who wants to raise cattle, whether he's an indigene or a non-indigene, he must get a place that is designated as his farm, where he's going to restrict his animals and where he's going to find food for them, because that is the bone of contention.
Okay, Mr. Bawai, when we come back, because we're going to break now, that which you say is a bone of contention, alongside some of the resolutions here, will be considered in just a moment.
Yes, Mr. Bawai, so you raised some issues. And first, I'd like to ask you, right after this meeting, you saw the communique, you listened to those present. You said before this you didn't feel safe going to your farms. Do you feel safe now?
all, because nothing really has changed as far as we are concerned. What has given every one of us a ray of hope is that what will happen moving forward when the government begins to enforce its order that these people that are inhabiting the forests should quit, then we can see maybe the effect of this quit order, this movement. Over time, we have arrived at these same conclusions. We have held series of meetings that there should be no underage herders, that there should be no night grazing, that they shouldn't come to the highways and so on. We have done this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and we still have the same scenario, and it seems as if it's even getting worse. So it is what we do moving forward, and what we are saying is that these things should be properly enforced. We have been on the neck of government for about 3-4 years now, also asking that there should be legislation regulating grazing of animals, that in fact there should be a total prohibition of open grazing. Pigs are not allowed to graze. It used to be in the culture of Akure people, Ondo State people, to raise local pigs, and they were roaming. But with civilization, with urban renewal, these things have been outlawed, and the people have complied, even though it was ingrained in their custom and in their culture. So why should we have a set of people who keep on saying that it is our culture, that's the way it has been, and so that's the way it must continue?
Okay, Mr. Obawaya.
Why should you roam with your animals and destroy other people's investments? So it's the problem that I'm saying that we are not feeling safer yet until we see the effect, the enforcement of this eviction order, and things begin to get better.
Okay, now speaking of that eviction order, Mr. Obawaya, so yesterday we listened to the governor of Ondo State, even the governor of Ekiti State, the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, sort of clarifying the earlier statement which was put out by the Ondo State governor. And now they say that the order was to those illegally occupying the forest reserves and not a general order to all herdsmen in the forest reserves to quit. So are you saying that you're not happy with this clarification, that you'll prefer to have all herders actually leave the forest reserves? Is that what you're saying?
The truth is that I'm not aware yet that there is any single herder that has submitted himself for the registration process, as far as I know, because I think we have been reviewing the situation, and even after the meeting, we reviewed the situation. And the government is in custody of the names, the identities of all the farmers, all those who government has graciously permitted to operate, to ply their trade within the forest reserves. And to date, I don't think herders are part of that list yet. So as far as the law, as far as the order is concerned, it's as if there is no herder that is occupying the forest reserve legally yet. So what we are saying is that let them comply first. Just like the farmers that were in the forest reserve complied with the directive of the Ondo State government, they submitted themselves for identification, for registration. But as far as the farmer is concerned, what we would even prefer is that they should leave the forest reserve and come to places where other human beings are, so that the things they are doing are not done in secret. We have a few people who have ranches. We can see their ranches. They are our neighbors. They raise their cows in plain sight. So why should some people want to do their business under the cover of secrecy? That's why we are not happy that any position should be shifted. And we are not saying the government has shifted position, because we got it clear from the beginning that the governor said they should leave the forest reserve. And then if they are going to be allowed, they have to apply, they have to register, they have to be known before they can be allowed back in. And I just want to appeal to government that this process should be allowed to run like that. Nobody should be allowed to stay
From
and
what,
negotiate from inside the forest reserve.
Yeah, from what some of the dailies are saying this morning, it would sound like Yetiala is already, they have already agreed to that registration. But just as you said, maybe when we see the compliance from today.